are the astonishing molecular machines that create the living fabric of your body. Now, molecules are really, really tiny. And by tiny, I mean really. They're smaller than the wavelength of light, so we have no way to directly observe them. But through science, we do have a fairly good idea of what's going on down at the molecular scale. So what we can do is actually tell you about the molecules, but we don't really have a direct way of showing you the molecules. One way around this is to draw pictures. And this idea is actually nothing new. Scientists have always created pictures as part of their thinking and discovery process. They draw pictures of what they're observing with their eyes through technology like telescopes and microscopes, and also what they're thinking about in their minds. I picked two well-known examples because they both, they're very well known for expressing science through art. And I start with Galileo, who used the world's first telescope to look at the moon. And he transformed our understanding of the moon. The perception of the 17th century was the moon was a perfect heavenly sphere. But what Galileo saw was a rocky, barren world, which he expressed through his watercolor painting. Another scientist with very big ideas, the superstar of biology, is Charles Darwin. And with this famous entry in his notebook, he begins in the top left-hand corner with "I think," and then sketches out the first tree of life, which is his perception of how all the species, all living things on Earth are connected through evolutionary history, the origin of species through natural selection and divergence from an ancestral population. Even as a scientist, I used to go to lectures by molecular biologists and find them completely incomprehensible with all the fancy technical language and jargon that they would use in describing their work, until I encountered the artworks of David Goodsell, who was a molecular biologist at the Scripps Institute. And his pictures are all, everything's accurate, it's all to scale. And his work illuminated for me what the molecular world inside us is like. So in the top left-hand corner, you've got this yellow-green area. This is transection through blood. The yellow-green area is the fluids of blood, which is mostly water, but it's also antibodies, sugars, hormones, that kind of thing. And the
So hi everyone. If you want to come in, here is the link in the chat.
Beautiful Wednesday.
Hello, Joel.
Good evening, sir. How you doing?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I ate too much spaghetti, but other than that, I am really well. Making sure.
Cool.
I think I got my YouTube paused. Yep. Good. All right. So what's on your mind tonight?
Hello, Paul.
Oh, hey, that was quick. I thought I'd have been backstage for a while. Yeah, not too bad. Unfortunately, I'm sat at work, and the piece of equipment we're using has just broken down, so I'm stuck. I noticed you had gone live, so I thought, oh, I'll jump in to say hello to everybody.
Hey, Paul. Nice seeing you again, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
Looks like... I was just saying hi. Looks like you're in a better shed this time.
I'm sat in a vehicle. Well, the piece of equipment we're using has unfortunately broke down, so we're just stuck here. So I noticed Angelo was with live, so I thought I'd jump in. What's the chat tonight? Is it just anything?
No, not specific matter. Just having fun. Just talking about whatever comes up.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, and first time that I am streaming in two different YouTube channels of mine at Intelligent Design Academy and this one, and the Go Talk, and also on Facebook. So
All right.
let's see. Yeah, so let's see if we can improve our audience.
Yeah. Oh, you're stretching out a bit and going into different social media groups then with Facebook and whatever.
Yeah, two channels on YouTube and one on Facebook at my profile.
Are you able
right,
to stream them
yeah.
all together?
Yeah,
Wow, cool.
they're streamed together.
Yeah, that is cool.
Technology.
Yes,
I know
I
it's
want
amazing what we
to.
could do now, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing what we could do. If you think back to 25, 30 years ago, well, 30 years ago, you could never imagine it, could you? I remember getting my first mobile phone. It had been, when would that have been? 90, I think on this one. We moved out to Germany in 94. Probably about 1996 when I got my first mobile phone. It was all I could do was make phone calls on it, and I think you could text, but texting wasn't really a thing that happened back then. So it was mainly just for making phone calls, and it cost you a fortune.
Yeah, because what video there was available for mobile technology was either extremely grainy or very, very small because we had such a low bandwidth.
Yeah, well, like I say, the first mobile phone I had, it couldn't do video anyway. It didn't have an internet connection. It was just a mobile phone connection. You could do texting. The only game that was on it was something like Snakes or Minefield or something like that. But it was like it's the old Atari type games, you know, all with the squares and everything was all in squares, circles, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's particularly fascinating with me because I started in technology, and so in the 80s and 90s, man, I was on the forefront. You know, I was doing military stuff, and so we had video chat capabilities with the same stuff we're doing today. We had that back in the 90s, but of course it was crappy. But so to watch it evolve, it's relatively the same. It's just better, but still it's fascinating.
I mean, we've come along in leaps and bounds, haven't we? It's, like I say, just not that long ago, thinking, well, I mean, I'm on a motorway that's closed, luckily, on a closed motorway in the Midlands, talking to you. You're in the America in Antando. Are you Brazil? Is that right?
I think a little.
Yes, I am in Brazil.
Yeah, so it's amazing that we can do that, and it's just doing it on my mobile phone.
The power of switching technology.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep, started in the 50s.
Yeah, I remember that I bought my first laptop in Atlanta at the Olympic Games in 1996, and it was a 120. I don't know if it's megahertz, the velocity of the processor, and that was a top Fuji laptop, and it was very expensive, and it was very slow. I mean, but that was really a novelty back then. I mean, I did never have a computer before, so I said, well, I'll buy one and see what goes, and then the internet era started for me.
Hey, George, we're talking about telecommunications so far.
It had been 1998 when I got my first computer. I didn't get a laptop, a normal computer. And it was one of them that to get onto the internet, you used to dial up. And of course, nobody could phone you if you were on the internet because it actually used your normal landline. And like you say, everything was so slow. It was terrible. Just to open another page, I suppose it was only a few seconds, but it seemed like forever. And then when high-speed broadband came out, it was more or less instant.
Yep, my first computer was a Timex Sinclair 1000 sometime in the 80s. I was 10 years old. So I teased on computers.
Yeah, I know what you mean with them ones. Yeah, my brother, he got the was it the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, which I suppose was a computer, but they were completely different to what we have now. Because I mean, obviously, you had with the newer computers, like the Windows, it was a lot easier to use. The like Sinclair ZX Spectrum, it was terrible, and to play games on it, you just have to put a cassette player, press play, and it do all the bleeps and what have you, and yeah, it's terrible.
And so most computers back then they had like 2 colors.
Yeah,
and then they had 4 colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I grew up all this stuff. Watched it evolve.
Yeah, and what did he get after that?
What's that?
Commodore 60, I think his next computer after the Sinclair ZX Spectrum was the Commodore 64.
Yeah, it was one of the big ones.
Yeah, and I remember him playing games on it, and it seemed almost as good as cartoon. Watching a cartoon to me, it was like watching a cartoon and somebody be able to play on it, and I found that absolutely amazing.
Yeah, when the Amigas came out in 1985, that was a real revolution in computer technology. In fact, I still have some old Amiga 500s and a 1200 in my garage, but that's when technology really blew away. And they moved into what was called RISC-based or reduced instruction set-based type computer architecture, getting away from the CISC-based, even though we're still on complex or CISC-based today. But I always talk about, those that want to go into the details of it, if we'd stayed on the RISC-based architecture, computers today would be 1,000 times better than they are right now. So it's kind of a fun. Yeah.
Right.
Computers started to have amazing revolutions and stuff and all kinds of in design and engineering, and then it went backwards again. So what we're using today is actually new improved stuff from the kind of the crap I talk about. It's the lesser quality stuff. But
yeah, I suppose it was when you go far enough back, we had the what were they called, the cassette tapes, and at the time it was like between the 8-track and the normal C90 cassette tapes, and people reckon that the 8-track was actually the better one. You could do more with it, you could get more on it, but for some reason, like the C90s was the one that won the battle, so to speak, and the 8-track disappeared. And I suppose it was the same with the video. What was
Beta VHS? You're saying? Yeah.
VHS, yeah.
Yeah, it's all just, it was all old tape reel technology. It was just a battle of capacity.
Yeah.
That's all. Good times.
I remember that I started to use computer in 1987, and I wanted to learn to program, and the language back then was COBOL. But it wasn't my métier. I didn't like it, and I changed again my professional activity.
Yeah.
But if I would have liked it, and I mean, many people, they have become very rich from back then, involved in computer programming and everything that has to do with computers. So, I mean, everyone has a specific gift, you know.
I was on all that stuff, though. I didn't get rich.
I left school in 1982 when I left school, and computers literally started about that year, where they started teaching children how to use computers. So I never actually did any of it at school. It literally just came in. I started building the computer rooms the last year of my school, of me being at school, and then after that, they had computer studies, and it was all about programming, how to program computers and stuff like that. But all that skill now that they learned, obviously became more or less obsolete, I suppose, really, when the Windows platform started.
Yeah.
And that's when I could understand how to use computers. When the Windows started, it was somebody who'd never used computers ever, it was quite simple for me to pick it up. But the other system, I was just lost with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying I started all that stuff. I taught myself BASIC when I was like, again, I was like 10 years old, and I learned Pascal and I learned GW and I learned all those languages. And I started when I got out of high school, I started to get my software programming degree, but it was right when that .com bubble burst, and all my coder friends were telling me that, the new positions at companies for programmers was just a dime a dozen because people couldn't get work anymore, and so it was like minimum wage, and they were all encouraging me to get into getting like a hard trade as a backup, and so that's why I joined the military. But yeah, no, I have got friends of mine today. In fact, I got one particular friend. He still kind of pokes fun or laughs a little bit and just has fun with the fact. So like these other two guys that I used to help teach computer technology, and I taught them DOS, I taught them programming back in high school. They were able to capitalize it. They started their own company. They're multimillionaires now. They started this little software industry, and they're laughing because I was the guy that was teaching them. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you do in the military then?
I was an electronics expert. I told the recruiter I wanted to do electronics trade.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, I was infantry. I was cannon fodder.
Oh, yeah. Well, I made sure the cannon fodder's gear was always there. So I worked on avionics and radios and mobile phones. So that's what I was saying. The stuff like this cell phone stuff, all that stuff existed back then in the 90s. It was just, it was very expensive. So, of course, only the government really could afford it. And so, we were what they call mobile subscriber stuff. We were using cell phone technology, essentially.
Yeah.
Back in the early 90s.
Yeah, we was. Like I say, I joined the infantry, but you could do like little trades within infantry. So I ended up being signals. I ended up being in what you call signal platoon. So yeah, we had something that was very similar to the mobile phone technology.
Yep.
It was called Panican, ours was called. And basically, when we used to go out and exercise, they used to have like mode stations that go out, so you could literally communicate all over the place because they had all these different mode stations. Like type mobile phone thing would sort of connect to.
Yep. And I was the guy that fixed all that stuff. So.
Yeah, just give us 1 second. There's what? Okay. Oh, he's on his way, is he? Brilliant. A fitter's on his way out to us to try and fix our piece of equipment that's broken down. So hopefully it ain't going to be too long and we can get it fixed and moved.
So what are you working with, Paul?
Well, I work for the Highways Agency, well, Highways England as it's called now. So I do a lot of road works. I work on the roads. Mainly my job is traffic management, so I'm the guy who puts the cones out and stuff like that. But tonight I was on cutting down trees, dead trees. So the chipper equipment that we've got, you put the trees in and it chips it all up. It's decided it's not going to start, so it's parked in the middle of the road, won't start. It probably weighs about 2.5 tons. It's on tracks, so we can't move it. So they can't reopen the road because we've got this piece of equipment sat in the middle of the road. We can't move it because it weighs so much and it's not on wheels, it's on tracks anyway. And it's a piece of aid equipment. So we're hoping that our fitter is going to have enough knowledge that he can get it started.
I see.
So yeah, a bit of a pain really, especially when it's 10 to 3 in the morning and I finish at 5:30. I'm just hoping I'm not sat here after 5:30.
Yep, exactly.
Well, the good news is you're trying to help a bunch of people that need to go to work in the morning and get the roads ready for them, right?
Yeah, but if we can't get this equipment moved, we aren't going to open the road because we can't open it.
Right.
So that's going to be. Hopefully, we can get it sorted.
That's what I'm saying. You're helping a bunch of people out here. You have to get up soon. Go to work.
Yeah.
You're doing a good service.
Well, I'm on night, so I'll finish at 5:30. But I've got an hour and a half drive back home. I don't work locally. I have an hour and a half to get home, so I don't really fancy staying late. But no, you can't get it started. I'll have to.
Yeah, after our chat last Sunday with Matt Slick, I did write him, but he didn't reply me anymore. So I don't know if he's occupied or no idea. But
Right.
his appearance was very good. I did like very much his information. It was very good.
Yeah, very knowledgeable, wasn't he?
Yeah, nice little
It
slide.
was interesting talking to
I
him.
have yet to see the numbers which he brought up with the prophecy of Daniel with the 69 weeks, which fits precisely with the appearance of Jesus and walking into Jerusalem. That is very, very interesting. And I mean, if God has foreknowledge, then He proves that He has through that kind of prophecies. And some say that the book of Daniel was written much later than it is claimed to be. But we have manuscripts from the Qumran rolls, which are dated 100 years before Christ. So the book of Daniel is very old. This is prior the coming of Christ. So how do you deny that? That is a mathematical proof that
Yeah, but
prophecy
I've not really looked into
in
it,
the
but I've seen a lot
Bible.
of sort of tricks you can do with numbers and stuff like that. I'd have to look into it. I've never really looked into it, but I have seen where you can do certain things with books. Sort of seen the argument before, and where people have debunked it, and they've literally picked another book, done something very similar to it, and made it look like it was giving you an additional information, but it wasn't. It's just the way they could do sort of maths with things in books.
Hey, real quick, I was
So,
on to George in chat. He was asking about metal hydrogen stuff. I have seen that, except it's extremely expensive to get hydrogen to liquefy and be metallic like that. And I don't remember what the material was, but I was doing a physics class in high school where we had just a regular iron rod electrified, and my teacher, my dad was working for a chemical factory for Air Products, and so I was able to bring a container of liquid nitrogen to class, and so we were able to use that he used it to cool down some sort of ring, and I forget what the material was made of, but as long as the ring was cooled down, it could temporarily act as a superconductor at room temperature till it warmed up, of course. And so we let it chill, for about an hour or so in class. And at the end of the class, we put that ring on that electromagnet basically, and we turned it on. Though it was, we were hoping it was just going to float a little bit, it's just going to kind of just hover, anti-gravity type thing in the classroom. But it was so we overdid it. It literally shot a hole straight through the second floor ceiling of the roof of the school. You could see all the way up to the sky. It's kind of funny, but yeah, there's all kinds of interesting stuff out there. But yeah, metallic hydrogen's hard to work with. Sorry, guys. Uh-oh, am I still here?
yeah, I'm still here.
Oh.
I can't see that. But I'm on my mobile phone, so it maybe doesn't show up on the mobile.
Oh. All right. Yeah, I was talking to George in chat. Yeah, I don't remember the name of that material. It started with an A, if I remember correctly. I have to look it up again, but it didn't work unless it was cryogenically cooled. So liquid nitrogen is a heck of a lot easier to work with than liquid hydrogen.
So how long did you serve in the military then, Joel?
I was only about 6 years.
Oh, right. Yeah, I did 15.
Nice. Would have done longer, but things happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I was really fortunate too.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time in the army. Well, I never planned to do 15 years. It was one of them things where I just sort of stuck in a rut, I suppose, and you just stick with what you know, I suppose, really.
Yep. Yeah, I was fortunate. I kept getting assigned to theater operation type stuff and all these support battalions, and just I don't know. You got to see a lot of places. I went all over the planet.
Hmm.
So, but I didn't go to the poles yet, which I don't think I want to go to the poles, but
No, I never. Some of our lads did Arctic training and what have you, and I'm glad I
Yeah.
never.
yep, I didn't like the cold.
Yeah,
Coldest I ever been was South Korea. Got down to negative 60 degrees a couple days. Up in the
the
mountains.
coldest I went to Poland. I did the first NATO exercise in Poland when. God, when would that have been? I can't even think when that would have been.
How cold did it get? I heard the Polacks are awesome people.
Oh yeah, the people were fine. Yeah, I think we got to something like about minus 30, minus 35, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was cold. The diesel was starting to solidify.
Yep.
It was that cold that the diesel was starting to solidify a bit.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
The first time I experienced that was stood outside, and let's say it was ice cold, minus 30, minus 35.
Mhm.
And when you were breathing, it was like white speckles in front of you,
Yep.
and then you realised what it was. It was as you were breathing. Yeah, basically as you were breathing out, your breath was freezing and it was falling. So you had like all these bits in front of you. You think, what's that? It's like dust. It was your breath literally instantly freezing as you were breathing out.
Yep, I experienced that too. It's like you breathe this cloud out and it just falls to the ground. It's great.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
This was one day. This is Korea, and our CEO he just wanted to do PT, so he got the whole company out to go, and we're running around in our winter little PT uniforms. Right? It's like I forget. It's like negative 40 below, and we're all crazy. You know, we're warming up in the hangar, and then we go outside and start running, and it's just like you were just describing. You can see your breath literally just form in front of you. And by the time about halfway through the run, getting ready to turn around, everybody in the entire formation, including the females, we all literally had white Santa Claus beards just dripping off our face. Our nose and our nose and our cheeks were bright red, and we wore those little black little what they call beanie caps on our head. And so that was all, the sweat from that was just evaporating. So it was like the smoke, this chimney smoke coming off the top of our head. By the time we got back to the hangar, we all literally looked like a whole formation of Santa Clauses. It's great.
Yeah.
But we're in good spirits, though. We didn't do it again, though.
No, you learned the first time. Yeah, the places I went to, when I joined up in 86 and I left in 2001, and I did Northern Ireland, Bosnia, Kosovo, Sierra Leone, Germany,
nice,
Canada, Poland, Kenya, Oman.
Okay.
And obviously,
I was in I4 and K4.
Oh, right, yeah, in Bosnia.
Yep, I was only in Tuzla, though. I didn't go very far out. Where were you at?
I went to Gorny Vakuf and what was the other one called?
Huh.
Oh, they were both similar names. There was Gorny Vakuf and...
That doesn't sound Serbia. Is that in the Croatian area or something?
Wasn't that part? What was that city where there was a big massacre? It had like a wall around it. It wasn't far from there.
You say that, and it instantly made me think that every city there was a big massacre. It was horrible.
Yeah, but this particular one was, I think it was where it all kicked off, and there was like a bridge that went to it, and they destroyed the bridge.
Oh. I wouldn't remember. It was so long ago now.
Yeah. That's the thing, it's that low, isn't it? When we went there, it'd have been about 95, 96 when we went there. And then I went to Kosovo when that first, when NATO troops first went in, I went there, so that'd have been 99, would it? 99, 2000?
Yeah.
I was in the Joint Helicopter Support Unit then. And we spent about a week or so in Macedonia, and then we'll see over the border then into Kosovo.
Were you with an American unit or just British when you were in Kosovo?
British, but we were quite close to the American units as well. Because when we flew in, we went into Chinooks, and the Americans supplied the Apache helicopters basically to escort ships in.
Yeah, because I was with the 127th Aviation Support Battalion back then, and two of our helicopters from one of our cav units were the ones that crashed in those mountains back then, and it was just really just upset so many people.
Yeah.
That's when I think General Clark got fired and stuff.
Right.
It was horrible, but and we tried to tell them, like, look, no, these helicopters, they're wonderful, fighting machine platforms, but they're not designed to fly in mountains like that. And they said, do it
Yeah.
anyways. They died.
Mm.
Pissed us off really bad. But yeah, no, that's cool because it sounds like you were right there with those guys.
No, yeah. I say it was we all went in at the same time. At the same, if you remember, at the time the Russians decided to get involved, didn't they? And they were on the way to Pristina Airport, and so were we. But they beat us up there first.
Yeah, for those that probably don't remember all that stuff, because it wasn't really big on the news back then. We used to call it I-4, K-4, what the blank for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's like he's talking about when the Soviets got, or when the Russian Federation got involved. It made it all useless. It made it all like, what the heck did we ever pretend to try to help here for? Because they brought the socialists back in there and it was horrible.
Yeah.
All those people. Anyways, okay. It's not a good topic to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Germany. I was in a little town called Hanau, a little old Air Force base called Fliegerhorst Kaserne near Frankfurt.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was Osnabrück.
Okay.
Don't you know that well. Yeah, I was at Osnabrück, but I lived at a place called Munster.
There you go. I think I've been there.
Osnabrück is about 30 miles northeast of Munster.
Okay.
Because when I moved over to Osnabrück, I lived in a place called Lotte, which was the British Forces accommodation, and it was basically blocks of flats, and we weren't quite happy about living in flats. And because the troops basically a lot of them were starting to leave Germany then. There were a lot of empty quarters in Munster because a lot of the British camps in Munster had closed down, but the quarters were still there. So we were told if you'd like a house and you're willing to travel 30 miles to work every day, there's a house available. So we got one of these houses, which was quite a nice house actually.
Nice.
And the travelling 30 miles to work every day wasn't a problem because within a minute of leaving my front door, I was onto the Autobahn, and as soon as you got off the Autobahn, you was only minutes, and you was at the camp. So it only took me about just over half an hour to get to work. So it wasn't a problem.
Yeah. Don't you wish every nation had an Autobahn?
Yeah. Yeah, they were very efficient. Not like our motorways in UK. These are terrible. They just get clogged up all the time.
Yep. Yeah, this the Los Alamos research laboratories in New Mexico, they did a supercomputer research project on trying to figure out why there's so much traffic problems on the freeway. And they found out the number one issue is that when people come onto the freeway, they basically get into the wrong lane. So they'll hog the fast lane even though they're going slow. And then people that want to go fast will go in the slow lane. And so it causes all this confusion, and that's what causes all the pattern problems. But in Germany, it's a federal crime. If you're in the left lane, the fast lane, not only is it illegal if you're not going faster, but you could probably get killed.
Yeah, so, you would over there because they don't have to put the foot down, don't they, over there?
Yep.
But yeah, we've got the same problem here. We've got the same problem over here with our motorways. We've got 3-lane motorway, so basically the main travelling lane is lane 1, overtaking lane is lane 2, and lane 3 is also an overtaking lane. But people seem to get to 70 mile an hour just sit in the middle lane, even though there's a bit to the left of them. I know we drive on the wrong side of the road to you, so we would drive on the left-hand side down the motorway, but they'll just hog the middle lane.
Yep, or the slow lane, right? And for everybody listening, that's illegal to do that in Germany. You'll get pulled over.
Yeah.
And that's the secret to fixing the highway systems. That's the be like Germany.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we should do over here. We should just enforce it. Once you start pulling these people over, people will start learning. But people have got away with it so long, they think it's the normal way to driving. I remember my dad, he never really went on motorways that much. But I remember him telling us when we were kids, when we were going on the motorway, and he was totally wrong. He seemed to think that lane 1 was a slow lane, lane 2 was a normal driving lane, and lane 3 was for overtaking.
Yeah.
So he thought all HGVs doing 56 miles an hour, they sit in lane 1. If you're doing 70 miles an hour, you automatically sit in lane 2. And then obviously if you're wanting to overtake, you go into lane 3 to overtake. So my dad would do the same thing. He gets to 70 miles an hour and the road could be absolutely empty. Nobody there at all, and he'll sit in the middle lane and travel 30, 40 miles down the motorway.
Yep.
And it wasn't until later on when I learned to drive and what have you, then I realised it was absolutely what he told me.
It's frustrating. Yeah, I share the story often. You know, I drove different German and French-made cars. You know, they're built for speed. You know, they're going 160, 180 miles an hour, and I'd be thinking I'd be going pretty fast. And like, this is fun, you know. And all of a sudden, something passes me on the left lane. I couldn't. It was like just. I couldn't even see what it was. So I tell people, you can't drive on the left lane in Germany. You might get killed. You know.
Oh yeah. And I used to remember watching the American films back in the 70s and 80s, and used to have all like the Trans Ams and stuff like that. And of course, to us in the UK, looking at cars like that, they were absolutely impressive looking machines. We had like the normal little, a Mini or Ford Fiesta, something really small, 1000cc. And of course, these Trans Am, I don't know, probably 3-litre engines in them, and the Starsky and Hutch car, that was, you know, one of the top ones that we used to look at. Anyway, a guy where I lived, he had a Trans Am, and believe it or not, the Ford Fiesta could beat it. And it was unbelievable.
Actually,
it could beat it.
I had a German-made Ford Fiesta. I didn't know that the Germans made Ford vehicles, but I bought one. It was really an old rinky-dinky thing, but I loved it.
Yeah. And
you'll
have seen Top Gear, won't you? You'll know about Top Gear. We used to have another program on called Fifth Gear, and they did a similar thing, and they brought out the is it the Gran Torino, the Starsky and Hutch car. Anyway, they had it on a disused airfield, so they brought this Gran Torino out, parked it on. They said we need to put it against one of our cars. And they brought out the same thing, the Ford Fiesta, and they did a drag race with it, and the Fiesta beat it.
Yeah.
So 1000cc engine, absolutely killing a 3-litre engine.
Yeah. Well, because it was small and light and had a pretty nice engine in it. So yeah.
Yeah.
I almost got killed in mine, man. I think I was going north on Autobahn 6 one time, and it was in the winter, you know, and everything's normal, but then this flash blizzard came out of nowhere and just totally iced the Autobahn instantly, right? And I lost traction and started spinning, you know, and everybody's starting to slow down, you know, of course, because visibility was going down real fast. But I lost complete traction. I mean, I was just spinning in donuts, literally, on this Autobahn. My steering wheel, you know, I was trying to counter steer and everything, but it was completely, you know, the brakes, nothing was working. I 100% loss of control, and I'm literally just waving my hand because you know the other drivers, you know, looking at me, they're all frustrated. It was a miracle because, you know, thankfully I eventually did spin into the curb on the right side and stopped, but I could have died. I ended up leaving that was my way out of Germany. I was ETSing. I was leaving Germany that day, and I ended up parking it in the airport there in Frankfurt in the parking lot and just left it there. I have no idea who took it. Somebody got a free car somewhere. It was great.
Yeah. I went to the the PX down there. We used to quite often go there. Yeah, it will have been Frankfurt. Yeah, yeah. Is it Frankfurt, Maine?
Yes, I was going to say
Yeah.
there's two Frankfurts, right?
Yeah, it was Frankfurt, Maine. PX we used to go to, and we found it quite strange, really, because in your camps you had literally everything in there. It was like it was like you picked up a piece of America.
Yep.
And
Get Popeye's chicken in Germany. Yep.
And then when we used to turn up, we used to get our Deutschmarks changed into US dollars to spend it in the thing. It was because when we went over there, we literally lived among the Germans virtually. We had our own estate, but just outside of it, there was no fence around it or anything like that. Just outside it, basically, my next door neighbour behind me was German, so we actually lived among them. And when we used to get paid, we used to get paid into a German bank account. So we were using Deutschmarks all the time. And to be honest, I thought you would have done the same, but I suppose your camps were that big and you had everything in it. You could spend 5 years and never step foot outside the camp.
Yeah, possible. Yeah, we did the same thing. I lived. Go ahead.
I was going to say, to me, it was if it seemed like you were missing out on actually being in Germany, because it just seemed to be that you spent most of your time in camp or within the camp enclosure.
We got out all the time.
Right.
No, we never stayed on post.
So when you went outside, then did you have to get your US dollars changed into Deutschmarks?
Oh yeah. So for gas though, we had our own little what they call gas stamps or whatever they call it, gas tickets.
Yes, we did.
Showed those. Okay.
Yeah, we had the same
I actually lived off post. So I actually lived in a nice little German, one of those 4-story apartment buildings.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, the wood floors. It was real nice with the big bay windows. I mean, I loved that. It was like old ancient building and stuff. And yeah, no, we never hardly stayed on post. In fact, I got all kinds of stories of the Polizei, which is another thing I like to share with especially my American friends. They want to talk about police brutality, man. The German Polizei, they will kick your butt. There's times where we'd have guys just out, on the bar, in Germany, and they'd get, they'd cross some guy wrong or whatever, or insult someone's girlfriend, and someone would sort of fight with them, and they'd make it back to base, and the Polizei, they'd walk right on, they just drive right through our gate, go to our barracks and yank the guy out of his bed, like it's nothing, and beat the guy down. We're like, dude, don't mess with the Germans.
Yeah, you don't mess with them, because basically they can never get done for police brutality. Because like our police, they can use, they're allowed to use as much force that is necessary. But who decides what force is necessary is basically the court. The court will decide whether he's used excessive force or not. But in Germany, it's worded slightly different. They can use as much force as they deem is necessary.
Yep.
So of course, when they go to, if you were to take one of them to court for police brutality, of course the judge would just ask, "Do you think they used excessive force?" And if he says no, then he didn't, did he? Because it's up to him to determine how much force he thought was necessary. So yeah, you were right. You didn't mess with the with the German police.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of even worse than that, even because the Polizei, they were authorized. They carried the spring-loaded billy club type things.
Yeah.
Here in America, the cops are lucky if they can bring a bludgeon device at all. But in Germany, they've got the ones they're illegal here in America. What the Germans use.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
But all your police carry guns, don't they?
Say again?
I says all your police carry guns. Whereas here,
yeah, guns and tasers, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I was done.
What was that?
Our police don't. In the UK, our police don't carry guns.
Oh yeah, y'all had that big national gun buyback thing back in was that the 80s or 90s? I forget.
No, our police have never carried guns.
Okay.
No, I've got plenty of guns at home. We can still own guns. There's nothing stopping you owning them.
Yeah.
It's just, I just thought our gun laws are just more stricter than yours. But if I want to buy a gun, I'd have to apply for a license, which would then mean that the police would turn up my house. They'd want to know where I'm keeping it, so I'd have a gun safe. And as long as the gun safe was adequate, then that'd be fine. I'd have to have a reason for having it. So a member of a club, or I've got permission where I can go shooting, and then I'd be granted a gun, or granted permission to go and buy a firearm. That's not a problem. The only guns we can't have now is pistols.
They're trying to do that here in America too, but
yeah, it'd be about 20, maybe more than that. I bet it's 25, 30 years ago now. When
I don't remember. I don't think the Polizei had firearms, did they? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, they did. Yes,
The
yeah,
Germans?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, they had it. They had them, well, definitely when I was there, they had them. Yeah.
Okay. I never encountered a Polizei myself, so thankfully.
Right.
I did encounter though
Well-
they have the what do you call it? The little red light and speed traffic ticket things. It's like this big yellow box on a pole on the side of the road.
Oh,
And it
speed
just
cameras.
takes your picture whenever you violate make a traffic violation.
Yeah, I've got a funny story about that, actually.
Okay.
Same thing, you'd be driving along and it'd be like 50 kilometers, and you're doing like 55 or whatever. You'd end up with a ticket, so you'd have to go to the pay office.
Right.
You'd sort of get notified that you've got to report to the pay office. You go to the pay office, they give you your ticket. You pay them it, and they pay your fine for you. Anyway, this one lad, like I said, that they used to have the vans at the side of the road. So it's travelling along, and he goes past this van. He's doing 50 kilometers, 30 miles an hour, which he's supposed to do. So he sees this, and as he goes past it, it flashed him, and he looked, and he thought, I'm not speeding. So
Right.
he went round the block, come back. This time he drives past at 45 kilometers. As he goes past it, it flashed him. And he thought, why am I getting flashed? I'm not speeding. So, foolishly, he goes round the block, and this time he goes past at about 30 kilometers an hour. He's way underneath the speed limit. And as he goes past it, it flashed him again, and he thought, what is going on? So he pulled in front of the van, walked over to speak to the policeman in the van, and went, I'm not speeding. Why are you flashing? He went, no, you're not speeding. No seatbelt. 3 times. So yeah, he thought he was getting flashed for not speeding, and he was actually getting flashed for not wearing a seatbelt. So he got three tickets he had to pay for.
Yep. Yeah, I got flashed once, and I think mine was from speeding, but I don't know where I was. I forget. I was lost. I was frustrated. I didn't know where I was going, and so obviously I forgot the speed limit that I was going, and I was driving along. And I like to share the story because for those who haven't experienced it, it's not just it doesn't just take your picture. It's an actual infrared enhanced type system. And when that flash goes off, you don't see it so much as you could feel it. You can actually, I felt the heat, like boom, and it's like what the heck? And then
it's like literally like a wave going over you, isn't it?
Yeah, and then like less than a week later, you get the little tickets in the mail, and it shows your license plate and you, and
a nice picture of you,
yeah. So if you try to dispute it, they're like, "Is that you?" Yeah, it looks like you.
Yeah, you couldn't dispute it.
But yeah, I forget. I wasn't going that fast, but it was like 300 Deutschmark. It was brutal.
Oh yeah, and like you say, it didn't have to be that much over the speed limit.
Right.
I don't know what sort of tolerance they had, but like I say, if it was 50 kilometers per hour, you seem to get one at 53. That bloody light keeps going off. Right, it looks like I think somebody might have turned up. Yeah, they've turned up to see if they can fix it. So I'll probably I'll let you have a look, see if I can. I don't know if you better see much with this camera. Just put my helmet on. I don't know if you can see that, can you?
Well, I'll read chat.
I'll show you a bit of equipment that's broken down.
I see you.
No, I'm on phone. I hope you didn't fix the bloody thing. Right, that's it there.
I see it.
Right, so I'll jump off and I'll leave you to it.
All right. Well, Untangle left already too, so
Yeah, he's left. Yeah, he did that last time, didn't he? And I couldn't jump in with him.
all right. Well, be safe. And you have a good night, man. It's
Yeah.
good talking to you.
Yeah, and you have a good night.
You too.
Catch you later.
Yes, sir.
Listen. Right, bye. I'm off now.
Yep. By the way, zoom back out. Does anybody wanted to hear anything in chat, or otherwise I'm gonna log out. My daughter drives a Ford Fiesta. Why do the red ones go faster? Yeah, George, if you're still there, man, it was like a yellow gold Fiesta. And it was German made, so I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is just a dopey little Ford, tiny little American made car. But no, it was small, but it could move. All mammals drink milk. Yeah. Yeah, the lactose mutation, quote unquote. Every human is born with that. It's not a mutation. It's a pre-programmed, what do you call it? Allele thing, setting, whatever you call it. And everybody's born with it turned on, so you can, or at least most people are, so you can process lactose from your mother's breast milk. And then most people's gets turned off for various reasons, epigenetic reasons, oftentimes. And then it can actually turn off and on like several times, sometimes over the rest of your life. So people that develop lactose tolerance, quote unquote, it's not a mutation. It's just part of the regular design of life. And it changes for different reasons and different ways. And there's all kinds of medication out there now to help kind of, trigger stuff. It is not proof of evolution. But yeah. Well, if you're able to type, George, I mean, I can sit here and talk. You want to talk about electronic stuff, whatever? I mean, well, it's truly epigenetic or not, I'm not sure, but I just know that it changes multiple times within people's lifetimes. So it's not like a random mutation. The evolutionists would want to pretend. And I was one such situation. I was lactose intolerant briefly, I think in my late 20s or whatever, and now I'm not. Now I love drinking milk. Okay. Yeah, you want to move over to Chris's and get more people to talk live? I'll see you there as soon as you open it up, Chris. I'll log out of here somehow. Yep. Talk to y'all later.